Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lion's Den. This is the Weekly Roar. I'm really glad we're meeting this week because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about with you today. Meetings. Sounds like a boring subject, but I guarantee you'll want to stick around for this. We're going to jump into things in just a second. But first, my name is Greg Storch, owner of Lion Enterprise, host of the Weekly Roar, and founder of a worldwide bartered coaching program called The Helping Hand. I'm a certified professional leadership coach and a certified leadership speaker and trainer. Now, if you joined me last week in the Lion's Den for the Weekly Roar, or if you caught the replay, then you got to hear my discussion about the best teacher a leader can have. Actually, the best teacher anyone can have. When we take time to evaluate our experiences, we're able to learn the lesson they were meant to teach us. And that's why I told you that evaluated experience is the best teacher that we can have. If you weren't able to join us last Wednesday for the Weekly Roar, or maybe you just want to watch that session over again, or maybe you want to share it out with someone who you think might find value in it, you can access those free video resources on my website at lion-enterprise.com. When you get to the homepage, click at the top on the Lion's Pride Library menu and go find video number 141 for last week. And while you're in the Lion's Pride Library, make sure you look around and stay a while. It's a free resource, and it's a great way for you to get more of the roar. Okay, it's time to get today's lesson learned in leadership started, and I'm calling this one the ultimate secret to a good meeting. I read a quote once that said, "A meeting is an event where the minutes are kept and the hours are lost." I know a lot of people, a lot of leaders who feel the same way I did about meetings. What were you thinking when I said that we were going to talk about meetings today? Go ahead and put the first word that comes to your mind over here in the comments. Awesome. Now, meetings, they have a bad rap. We all know that. I've been in more meetings than I can count. And I've had meetings to meet for the upcoming meetings, the meetings just for meeting's sake, and meetings that didn't produce any tangible results. And I'm sure we all have. Honestly, I think we all can say that, unfortunately. I think meetings have a bad rap because we have so many of them. It's hard to get anything done. Another thing I notice is that the number of meetings we have to attend increases in direct proportion to our seniority. In the Navy, the more rank I got, the more meetings I attended. And the same was true even in the corporate world. Every time I promoted, I received the added bonus of more meetings. Now, if you're a leader, someone who values things like results, making progress, and taking actions, then you might struggle with meetings because meetings aren't usually characterized by those things I just mentioned. One of the things I've noticed happening a lot with the meetings I attended at one of the federal agencies I used to support on a contract was that their meetings tended to end with having to schedule another meeting. Anytime that happens, you know you're in trouble. Now, I think we've all been to those meetings where there's that one person who needs that social interaction, I guess. So they keep asking questions. And by the time the meeting is set to end, they keep on going like that Energizer bunny. You can see people twitch in their seats and roll their eyes as they hear that person say one more time, "I have a question." I know it sounds like I'm bashing meetings, and I'm not really anti meeting either. While it's never good to have a meeting just for the sake of meeting, there are times when leaders need to meet with people. Whenever that happens, the point of the meeting should be to get something done. I think you would all agree with that. Good leaders are the ones who learn how to make their meetings effective. If you've ever gotten frustrated with trying to conduct meetings that seem to be unproductive, that don't get the cooperation you need from the attendees, or they just seem to drag on too long, that's typically a result of too many agendas. Either your agenda isn't clear enough, or other people at your meeting have brought their own agendas. You know what I'm talking about. Either way, those two situations always end up with a surprise, and people don't like surprises, especially when it comes to a meeting. So today, I want to share the ultimate secret to a good meeting. Have you ever heard the saying that people will be down on what they aren't up on? It's really a non starter for leaders to have success at a meeting. So, one of the biggest secrets to a good meeting is, are you ready for it? Well, you see, most people have the wrong idea about the purpose of a meeting. We tend to view meetings as time savers where we pull a bunch of people into a meeting room and deliver our message one time. Really, that's the wrong way to look at a meeting. It's very basic. Meetings are simply to get stuff done. Yes, I said stuff. That's a combination of you know what and stuff. And in order to do that, you have to know the ultimate secret for having a good meeting. So here it is, the ultimate secret. Now, make sure you write this down, okay? The secret to a good meeting is the meeting before the meeting. That's right. Have the meeting before the meeting. Now, I'm going to front up on this, and I'm going to confess that I never understood why some of my leaders would have a meeting before the meeting. They would tell me, hey, let's meet prior to the meeting. And all I could think of was, great, another meeting. Ever since I learned the secret, though, I understood exactly what my leaders were doing, and I began to do the same thing. What they were doing, what I started doing, and what you can do is begin by figuring out who the key players are for your upcoming meeting and have a meeting with them just beforehand. That ensures that all of you are on the same sheet of music. And I can honestly tell you, once I started doing that, it made my regular meeting, that meeting that came after that meeting, ran so much smoother. So if you want to have meetings where you actually get stuff done, then you have to have that meeting before the meeting in order to prepare people for the meeting. Now, I'm not going to just give you the ultimate secret and send you on your way. I want to share some of the reasons why it's important to have that meeting before the meeting. Okay? So, the first reason why is because that meeting before the meeting, it's going to give your key players a sense of ownership. That's right. This is where you start getting buy-in. And you're going to need that for the other meeting. Remember that saying I shared a minute ago that most people are down on what they aren't up on? Well, it's true. It's just human nature for people to react negatively to information that surprises them. People will be much more positive about it when they're in the know, when we avoid surprising them. And if you do that in a group of people and you catch one of your influencers off guard, their negative reaction can spread like wildfire through that entire group. And when that happens, the meeting's doomed. It's over. The meeting will veer off course and come to a halt. So that's why it's important to get your influencers to buy in ahead of time. And you can do that in your meeting before the meeting. Now, the second reason why it's important to have a meeting before the meeting is that you want to be able to share your perspective. See, we all know that everyone has their own perspective about things. But as a leader, you need to invest time and be intentional with helping others see things the way you do. How do you think you get them to buy in to your vision? The thing with this one is that there aren't any shortcuts. So if you want people to see things from your point of view, you're going to have to give it time and intentionality. People aren't going to follow our suggestions just because. We'll never get anywhere with an approach like that. So if you expect people to just pick up things as they go and you continually surprise them, they're eventually going to get frustrated. They're going to dig in their heels and things will stop moving forward. The secret here is to give your influencers the right perspective in that meeting before the meeting, and they'll become allies when you're trying to spread your vision to everyone else. All right, now I just spoke to you about influencers, and this third reason why you should have that meeting before the meeting is also about influence. That's exactly how leaders can increase their influence. One of the best ways to gain influence with others is to invest in them. And in this case, what I'm talking about is investing your time, right? Think about it. If you're only spending time with others in meetings where you're asking them to handle business aligned to your own agenda, what kind of message are you sending to them? Now, if you don't make people feel valued, then there's no way to really build any kind of positive relationship with others. It does nothing for them. And in the end, it does nothing for your influence. Remember, leadership is influence. And one of the best ways to gain influence with others is by investing in them. When it comes to meetings, investing your time in the meeting before the meeting is a sure way to increase that influence. All right, now, this fourth reason why you should hold that meeting before the meeting is that it helps leaders develop trust. Now, you've heard me talk about one of the things that creates stable foundations in our leadership, and that always includes trust. We have to have trust from others. And one of the most challenging things for a leader to do is create change. Because in order to be successful at it, you have to have the trust of your people. So when you have the meeting before the meeting, it gives you the chance to develop that trust by giving the influencers the chance to have their questions answered, to listen in on your motives and get the details that you might not be sharing in the meeting that comes after that meeting. All of these things give us the opportunity to build trust with our influencers at the meeting before the meeting. And you'll need to have the trust if you want to achieve the outcome of the big meeting and get things done. All right, let me give you one more reason why it's important for us to have a meeting before the meeting. Now, the fifth reason why is that it really avoids that unwelcomed surprise. In other words, it helps us avoid the blind side. Good leaders typically will have their fingers on the pulse of their organizations. They usually have a good understanding of what's happening because they typically have strong leadership intuition. Good leaders are connected to their people, and because of that, they have a good sense of things like the morale of their people, the momentum of the organization, and even the culture. But even the best leaders can miss something. I mean, after all, we're only human. And so sometimes during that meeting, before the meeting, the people we're speaking with will share information that can help us avoid making a big mistake in the meeting that comes after the meeting. Look, if you have to lead meetings, let me share 3 simple rules with you that you can check based on these things that I just shared with you. The first rule is if you can't have that meeting before the meeting with your influencers, then don't have the meeting. Or second, if you hold that meeting before the meeting, but it doesn't go well, don't have the meeting. And then the third little tip I wanted to give you was if you have the meeting before the meeting and it all goes as planned, then have the meeting. Having a good meeting is a matter of preparation and planning. When we practice that, we learn that good planning always costs less than good reacting. The more time we prepare for the meeting before the meeting, the less time we'll have to spend doing damage control after the meeting. In other words, all's well that starts well. Now, hopefully, this ultimate secret to a good meeting will help you be more successful with your own meetings. Just remember that having that meeting before the meeting allows good leaders to never have to recover from a good start. Okay, everyone, meeting adjourned. See what I did there? Thanks for showing up today, and please know that I truly appreciate you. I'm looking forward to our next episode, so please plan to join me on Wednesday in the Lion's Den for the next lesson learned in leadership, where I'll explain why leadership is just as relational as it is positional. If you want to keep running to the roar, then come on back to the Lion's Den next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to join me for the weekly roar. Thanks everybody for showing up today. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, remember, be powerful, but stay poised, just like a lion. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.